Hey everybody, it's Rob. Got another panel to bring you this week from Dallas Comic Show just a couple of weeks ago. So much fun at Dallas Comic Show every time we do a show. In this particular panel, I get to talk to Robert Costanzo and Mike Starr. These two are a movie. It's the only way to explain it. We have a great conversation about some of the roles in their career, their friendship that goes back decades. You can tell right off the bat how much these guys truly love each other and are true brothers. Check out this panel from Dallas Comic Show just this past month, April 2023.
Dallas Comic Show, how we doing? You guys doing all right? Beautiful day for a show. My name is Rob Irvin. I am moderating most of your panels this weekend. And I am extremely excited to have these two gentlemen join me right now. I'm just going to introduce them so you guys give them some love. Robert Costanzo, Mike Starr, give them some love, you guys.
Hey, thank you.
Gentlemen, welcome.
Okay.
Very excited to have you here.
We're excited to be here.
I texted my sister a little while ago, and I said, in about 3 hours, I'm going to be interviewing Joey Tribbiani Sr.
Right.
And she was very excited. And then I texted my wife, and I said, I'm going to be interviewing somebody from Ed, which is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Is this on here?
It should be. Yeah, we're live.
I'm not sure.
Pull it up, talk right into it, Mr. Starr, if you would.
What do we,
Let me get over there. I'll fix it for you.
I only put it down because you can't see my beautiful face.
Just talk right into it.
How's that? Nothing.
There we go. Now we got some. Now we're getting somewhere.
Better? Yeah.
Mine isn't working yet.
I don't want to hide it.
I'm also the tech guy.
Sounds
so.
like Mike's honeymoon night.
God. And the shots begin.
Anyway.
Gentlemen, we're excited to be here. As I was doing my research, because I was going to have both of you in the same Q&A, I want to say between the two of you, you've covered about 60% of everything Hollywood's done in the last 20 years. Would that be a fair assessment?
That may be true. That may actually be true.
And you both have overlap with some of my favorite things. Mr. Costanzo, we will start with you. I am Batman obsessed.
Oh.
Have been since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, as we say in Texas.
Yeah.
You got to be Harvey Bullock in multiple iterations of DC animated.
Yeah, and believe me, sometimes I have to have people tell me that because all I know is I go in, not a booth, we did it more like, which I like better as an actor, where we were in a sort of semicircle and we would relate to each other, and it was a little more human, if you will. And some of them were, well, you'll know better than I. We did the episodes, we did the movie of the week thing, we did a King of Hearts, I believe it was called.
You did the feature film, Mask of the Phantasm.
And we did the feature film.
Which I absolutely loved as well.
Wow.
Anything Batman the Animated Series or that DC animated things.
And by the way, it was so well drawn. I mean, it was so much like the comic book. You know, you got the feeling of nostalgia if you're an old fart like me. Because I used to remember being at the barber in my old neighborhood reading the Batman comics. That was like a little trivia, wasn't it? You would know. There was like Action Comics, Adventure Comics.
Action Comics was more Superman.
That was more
Detective
Superman.
Comics was more Batman.
Detective Comics, right? But weren't there two other superheroes like Green Lantern? And
that would be your Justice League. So you'd have Wonder Woman, you'd have Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But as I was doing my research on both of you, has there been any overlap between the two of you? Because I couldn't find anything that the two of you had in common.
Worked together.
When we did Falcone, right? Didn't we do?
Oh yeah, Bobby Moresco's thing. But we were in the same episode. I'm not sure.
I don't know. This isn't. Can anyone hear me?
Pull him up some.
Yeah.
There we go.
It was a television version of Donnie Brasco with our friends, and we were in different episodes. You had a heart attack.
I think so. Yeah, I had a heart
I was the
attack.
guy with the gambling problem. Worked for the city, and they
Right.
broke my foot or something. I forget it. Whatever.
Titus was.
Yes, Titus Welliver.
Titus
from-
Welliver, who was a wonderful
very
actor,
nice.
and he's got a series that's streaming.
Yeah, Bosch.
Bosch, that's
he
it,
did
yeah.
the greatest impersonation of Sam Elliott, and I finally got to meet Sam Elliott. He goes, "Old Titus does myself better than I do myself."
We actually talked earlier today, and you guys talked about impersonations, and we're going to get to that here in a little while because I thought it was delightful. How often do you find yourself doing that kind of thing on a set? Because on a movie set or a television set, sometimes you find yourself waiting around for hours on end. How much do just like mess around with trying to do impersonations of other people? Is that a
Let
thing?
Bobby handle that first.
Well, no. But all kidding aside, it depends on I don't know how you feel, Mike, but on the vibe of the set. If you got a cool, relaxed, loose set, and you feel like you can do that without everybody thinking you're an a-hole bothering, some method actor who's smelling, some olive oil and thinking of his dead grandmother, I'm sorry, give me a break. Anyway.
Kids, don't try this at home and don't.
But if you have that vibe, then I do it. That's how I feel, right? You have to feel the vibe.
Well,
or
it's
you
a
don't
good
give
question.
shit, you do it
No,
anyway.
you got to know the room, yeah.
You know the room, right?
I used to tell people, you'd be surprised. If you had one day on something, I'm just there. But sometimes it'd be like if Bobby and I would work 6 weeks, whatever, months, whatever it would be. Strangely enough, for myself, I'm relatively quiet because people would say, boy, you really opened up. I said, yeah, I get nervous at first. I want to feel who would get it, as Bobby says. But the funny thing is, I don't know how many of you all remember, but we could give you all his great actor friend of ours. We could give you his credits, his son's stunt credits and everything, but we lost Danny Aiello and two of his sons, and we would always do it together. But the
Whenever
problem
we saw
is,
each other, we do dueling days.
yeah. But the problem is, if I do it on the set, not that I was in any heavy method, but especially if I had to do a non-New York thing, or even that, I'd find myself talking like him. And I said, like I'd be fooling around with crew or friends
like the way
Bobby.
you do it. You're better than I.
All right, let's get into it. Dueling Aiellos, let's get into it.
From my heart, this means very much to me. Thank you, coming from you. Bobby Costanzo, you're a television actor.
Television actor. Aiello, let me tell you something. You wouldn't know stage left from the stage delicatessen. Television actor. I've been on the boards my whole life. He said to me once, I hear you doing impressions of me, Bobby. I hope you're making me look good. I said, just smarter and funnier, Danny.
He'd see me sometime, go, all right, wise guy, you're stealing my sidewalk act. He used to sit out, God bless him, God rest his soul.
Yeah, he was good.
He would stand out in front of he'd be in a Broadway show. And he used to stand out on the street. And he'd point to people. He did all these famous shows. So we were in this producer did Beatlemania knockout that he did. You didn't come to my mother's funeral with Ed O'Neill, right? And he had that part, and I went to see it. And Danny was always very good to me. He'd see me. What's the matter, Mikey? Step into my office, and we'd walk down the street. We'd cross all through Manhattan, and I would tell him something that was bothering me. And he'd somehow change it to himself, but. He would stand out there. So anyway, we were doing Dan Lauria, you know him from Wonder Years and so many things, got me involved. My first show that I was seen in Showcase, and I got working. This is like 1979, 78. And two of us, our wives were pregnant, and we had understudies covered. Dan did everything. He played Al Capone. I played Dutch Schultz. We had wonderful people in it, and people went on to do wonderful things. And it was a 40-seat theater, but we were part of a trio that was, we're going to Broadway doing all this stuff. Bill Sargent's producing Beatlemania Knockout. So my son is born on a Sunday morning, and I think we had a special Sunday performances for the Broadway shows, like Knockout. So Howard Schaefer was the other guy who played Maya Lansky. So anyway, I'm going down the street, and Roosevelt Hospital St. Luke's is right up. And my son was born maybe 10 in the morning. I can't remember. I had three kids, two of them born there. So I'm running up there, and I make it plenty of time, the night before everything. But I finish, and I come running down in my scrubs. It's a boy. I'm telling everyone, I have a son, new child, blah, blah, blah. We're laughing. Everyone's celebrating. He thinks it's part of a thing I'm doing, like I'm dressing up and doing an act. He goes, come on, Mikey, what are you doing? Stealing my sidewalk act? I do that outside. I said, no, Bobby, I just realized my wife had a baby. We had a kid, Come on, I know you're doing this to get people in. Oh,
I loved watching you guys do this earlier, and the stories that you have got to be.
Yeah.
Because, again, as I was doing my research, the rabbit hole I continued to fall down.
We're blessed to be around a
things.
lot of, both Bobby and I.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other in a while, so we were
Right.
like catching up with a lot of stuff. And so you and I both thought to be very shy, but yet somehow when we're around each other, we become these animated.
We open up, yes.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like this, oh, hi.
Yeah.
I had an experience one time. If you've ever seen the Woody Allen movie, Radio Days, Paulie Herman, God rest his soul, and myself, were in the dark, and we lit ourselves, and we play these burglars. It might be an urban story. Woody Allen said it opens up, the Needlemans, we robbed their house. And while we're robbing the house, Name That Tune, it's a radio, Name That Tune pops up, and I answer the phone. And Paulie and I guess the songs, and we go, we're rich. We leave, and we rob the whole house. And Woody Allen says, that day the Needlemans came back, and we won the account. Their house was empty, but truckloads of furniture that they won came in, whatever. And it was really, really just a lot of fun. But Brian Hamill, a friend, Woody Allen, I was told, even when I met with him, they said, he's a big guy, energy. He just, he was great to work with. It's just that don't overwhelm him. Like, hey, Woody, hey, I love your movie, whatever. Which I did when I was 14, I think, in the Village. I yelled out, I saw him, I yelled out, my cousin loves you!
And remember, guys, you guys are the reason we're here. So if you've got questions,
yeah. So I just want to
finish. We're using up all my mics right now, but we will get to your questions. Well, because I got you guys here.
So I was going to say, our friend Brian says to me when I'm pulling up, he says, for whatever it's worth, don't take offense. Woody's not a talk to me guy, and he had worked with him, and he knew. I said, no, I think. He said, you're not offended. I said, no. So I knew the whole crew in New York, a lot of neighborhood people, and my friend Smitty was a Cockney, and I got to meet everyone. I knew, like, when I started out, even at that time, I had a lot of friends who were grips, electrics, teams.
I've seen your work. I hope you didn't get rid of your Teamster card.
Well, my craft service card. I'm the top craft service guy. I had Teflon pockets. So anyway, finally, I come to the set, and there's Woody Allen, and I'm like this. And the crew can't get over it because I break balls with everyone, ADs. And this one guy that was very serious, I gave such a hard time to. He goes, cat got your tongue, Mike? Grips are looking at me. Who is this? I'm like, and Woody Allen says, if you want to say something, ad-lib something. I go, okay, yes, sir. They couldn't believe. They all made fun of me. And finally, when the time came, we opened up. And Paulie Herman, if you look up Paul Herman, he was so loved. He passed away a few months ago.
He had a good role in the De Niro movie, Silver Linings Playbook.
Yes, Silver Linings. He played the bookmaker.
He played his bookmaker. And, Paulie came into read for a project that I actually played the lead in. Anyway, whatever.
Everyone loved Paulie.
Yeah, and I thought he was great. And the producers, because he was not a quote-unquote actor, they sort of dismissed him. I said, this guy is... I'm hearing the words from him.
And he also ran Robert De Niro's restaurants.
Right, he ran
the greatest guy, and everyone. He was iconic in New York and then L.A. And if you ever saw Entourage, he played the accountant. Oh. And he pranked me once. I was driving in my '87 Caddy. I was living in Chicago, and I had a car, '87 white Caddy. Remember that?
Yeah, I had a white Caddy too.
And I got a call, and I wouldn't drive and talk, so I clicked on the. I couldn't hear. I was probably on Highland Ave. I clicked on the cell phone, and he starts yelling at me, and I don't know it's him. I think it's my accountant bizman. What are you doing, you crazy? And he's yelling. I said, I'm sorry, but I've been so good. I'm trying. I'm traveling. I'm late. He goes, Mike, it's Paul Herman. He said, you told me I was just like your accountant. I said, yeah.
I got a quick Woody Allen impression.
Go for it.
Somebody says, yeah, you do a shitty Woody Allen, but I'll try it. I'm not the world's greatest lover, but 8th place isn't bad. And then my other favorite Woody Allen line, I once met a praying mantis who was an agnostic. only a genius. He never had writer's block. I never worked for him. I would love to have worked
Stick
for him.
and move.
I worked with Brooks and Bankroll. Brooks, we had laughs. He was insane. He's still around, Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
So you guys have done so many things, and I looked at the name of our time together.
All
on the
legal.
schedule. All legal, allegedly. Allegedly is my favorite word in the English
Allegedly,
language.
I love it.
Does the phrase character actor, is that a phrase that you like being used, or is it something that you're not a fan of?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's come to mean something other than what it originally was, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Huh.
I think forgive the fancy word for a guy who plays idiots all the time, but I think the etymology behind it. Whoa! Did Costanzo say that? I had a friend of mine who was a comedian. My friend Bobby, we could curse, right?
Rather you didn't
not
because we
really.
got kids.
Right. He would say that my friend Bobby's a pretty bright guy. He's got a master's degree. But every time he gets a word over 3 syllables in a line, he punches his hand. Like if he's got to say that's esoteric, he goes, that was, ooh, effing esoteric. Anyway, I digress. So you're quite, yeah. I think character actors come to mean, either the comic relief, the sidekick, whatever, but it really means someone who inhabits a character and becomes the character rather than letting themselves shine through. I don't know. I think if you're an interesting person, yourself should shine through, and it only embellishes the character.
Mr. Starr, what about you?
I always found it a compliment. I don't know, because at least for me, I'm very rarely a lead or something, or like Bobby was saying, like someone's a personality, which can be great sometimes, but yeah, I think it means Bobby and I and some friends of ours get to. I think I take it as versatility, if that's okay.
Well, for what it's worth, and not to sort of pin whatever on ourselves. Leonard Matlin, the esteemed critic, somebody did a little piece on me in an underground thing that's been read by about 9 people, but he mentioned me, and
isn't bad.
Right, he mentioned me in a lot of my work, and he said that these guys like Bobby and are indispensable in films. They're memorable, and that's what it's all about, really.
I agree.
And those parts are showy, and you love it, and all you do is usually get credit. You don't have to take the fall if it's a piece of dreck,
And I love you talked about, Mr. Starr, you said the word versatility. Both of you have, even though they say character actors, your versatility, both of you guys have been all over the map as far as projects you've worked on, because you were in Black Dynamite, you were in Deep Space Nine, Dumb and Dumber, you worked with Steven Seagal on a film.
So Deep Space Nine, one of the Star Trek shows, for years, I go back to being in high school and watching with a few of my older brothers, or a couple of my older brothers. I had 3 older brothers, but we would watch the original Star Trek. And all through career, all I wanted to do was be a Klingon or something like that, right? So they called me up, they want you, they loved you and whatever, and they're going to give X amount of dollars if you would just do Deep Space Nine at Paramount or whatever, right?
Oh my God, I got a similar story.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I show up. I get the script. I'm waiting for my Klingon makeup or whatever I'm going to be. And, hey, I found you, I'm from the planet Zorro. And I get there, and they have the holodeck, right? James Darren, our buddy, James Darren. And it's the Las Vegas virtual holodeck, and I'm playing Cheech. And I have to shove.
I had a similar
I had to put
experience.
pizza in the guy's face. I felt terrible. I apologize. I got to do this, okay? Be careful.
Yeah. I had a similar offer on Star Trek, the show, the TV series with Patrick Stewart.
Oh, The Next
And I went,
Generation.
this is great. I'll be like Robert Picardo, my friend. I can wear plastic crap and everything and be weird and skulk around and, use a voice or whatever. And I'm Al Capone. It was in 1930s.
That's right.
remake.
I love that
I
when
even
they
have
went
the
back.
picture there.
Oh, it's a great one. I love that
It's-
episode.
yeah. I normally charge 40, but if you say you heard it here, I'll charge 39.
He was Picard was a private detective or like a film noir thing. That was great. I love that episode. I had friends. I had my friend, rest his soul, Mike Haggerty, and he said, I'm on some distant planet with Chicago accents. We had Chicago accents. My brother, Bo Starr, my big brother, friends with Bobby as well, I was back east, but I said, you got to go out, work in L.A., and he got in all those shows like The A-Team and Fall
I did
Guy.
Hill Street with him.
Right?
I did a 3-part Hill Street.
So he was in a lot of those shows, and he gets called in for a Star Trek, I think, Next Generation or whatever. And the director says, Bo, I love you. You're great. You do all this great work. all this stuff. And my brother's different, more deadpan, dry, quiet human. He's sitting listening. And he goes, "Oh, you're great, but I can't use you. You're from New York." And my brother looks at me and goes, "You mean there'll be no New Yorkers in space?" He said, "I'm watching your show. You got British, you got all these people. I don't see any British astronaut." He started saying, when they're not going to allow New Yorkers in the future?
This is a true story. I was in Canada once, and my agent said, "Bobby, you've made it." They were asking for either a Danny DeVito, Peter Boyle, or Bobby Costanzo type. I go, "It's great, take the job." She went over to them, they said, "Look," well, first of all, I said, "Look," they wouldn't even dare ask Danny, who was flying very high at that time. Peter would laugh at them, and if I wanted to do it, they'd say he's too on the money to play myself. I'm me. And that, in fact, she didn't use those exact words, but they said, "Well, we wanted more of a Bobby Costanzo type rather than the real guy." I swear this really happened.
I've got to ask, because you guys have such amazing chemistry with each other, when did you first meet?
Priscilla's, I believe, out west.
That coffee shop.
But we're going back. As you know very well, I'm a New York actor. But no, I'm trying to remember when I came out.
I'm an actor for all seasons, for all planets, for all continents. I transcend the globe.
"Bobby, I'm passing you by." And I said it out loud in front with De Niro. And De Niro just was hysterical. I said, "Bobby, I'm passing you by." So it is a great ending to that one, too. But anyway, I'm trying to think, because I remember it was so great meeting Bobby, and I met him through my brother, and he used to tell me about him. And it could have been I came out to do the show The Bodyguard, but it might have been before that. I was doing a play out in the late 80s.
I'm not sure.
We would go before Priscilla's, when Priscilla's was a hole in the wall. Now it's an iconic place.
Yeah.
But he would take me around a few places, like Dan Tanner's and a few places. What did I know? He had an apartment in North Hollywood. I was doing a play in L.A. and
you were homeless in a tent.
Pretty much. Pretty much. He took me in.
We just sort of gravitated to.
My wife just started med school. Yeah,
we
have mutual
John
friends.
Capodici. You know John. He's been in so many things. Oh my God, he was the bus driver in Speed. He was on.
Oh God.
He's a great. Oh, what a character! And my kids have storehouses of Capodici moments and lines that are.
I'm trying to think of that thing he did with. Oh God.
Well, while you're thinking of that,
yeah,
I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
On your resume, you were in Honeymoon in Vegas.
Oh,
Right,
wow, yeah.
right.
There's a piece of trivia that I've heard for years, and maybe you can make this official.
Okay.
The little itty-bitty Elvis impersonator in that film, I was told, is Bruno Mars. Can you confirm or deny that?
I don't know anything about
I didn't
it.
know that. Never heard
Because
that.
I worked on it for about a week or so in New York, and I just did the scenes with Nick Cage. So I don't know. Yeah.
But I had heard that, and I'm like, if that's true, that would be
That's an amazing. I'll tell
Jimmy
you,
Cahn's in that,
I
isn't
will
he?
tell you a story
Is Jimmy
about.
Cahn in that as well?
Yeah, Jimmy.
Okay.
Jimmy had a big role in Johnny Roast Beef.
I was going to say
Johnny
roast beef.
I feel like a Quaker from Pennsylvania when I'm around.
Yeah, Johnny Williams.
Well, yeah,
Bye,
I tell you,
Mikey.
when I did City Slickers, which I think, of all the things I've done, is probably the most, I guess the fancy word is iconic. One of the kids in the classroom, and I think he had the only line, if
With
he
the
did,
crack.
was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Was it?
Really?
Really?
Yes, it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wow.
Who's now in a movie called The Covenant. That's a very, very good Guy Ritchie's new latest film. Very good
He's
film.
a wonderful actor, that kid. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
What is your favorite role that he's played?
With Mike, I'd have to say, there's so many, but maybe Dumb and Dumber. I mean, it's the most.
I'll take it, he says. What about you, Mr. Starr? What
He
for
cracks
Mr.
me up
Costanzo?
every time I see him on.
Well, it's so much like we did out with
Get that microphone
City
on.
Slickers. I remember I was taking my son in Manhattan to the movie. I said, "That's my friend." When he's leaning and then he's speaking to the kids, it was so great.
Oh,
But
God.
there's so much Bobby has done. We're in things people don't know about, or that you may be too young, like Lightship. I mean, we play very different characters.
Different guys. And then I worked with your brother on that 3-part Hill Street with Joe Santos.
Yes.
That was fun, And
That's a show I'm glad they
of
haven't
course,
tried to
NYPD
reboot.
Blue,
Sure.
yeah.
I'm glad that they left Hill Street Blues where it is and haven't tried to redo it because that show was so great.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And it came across at a perfect time. But I also, Mr. Starr, I want to go a little bit deeper because we mentioned this at the top and why this show is not available on DVD or Blu-ray. I would buy this show on VHS if they released it in Ed. Because you look at everybody that was in that show. Tom Cavanaugh, Daryl Chill Mitchell, you, Michael Ian Black.
You're forgetting someone, Julie.
Yeah.
The star, yeah.
No matter what she does, she will always be the Carol Vesey to me. I don't care what she does. Ed was a series.
One in the bowling alley.
I
was telling you today.
Can you give me a great story from that show? Because it's such an amazing show.
Well, I'm convinced that Tom Cavanaugh invented the photo bomb. It was 20-something years ago. And there was this great lady, Rose, who's very quiet and running wardrobe, helping with wardrobe. And we loved, anytime, they have to take for continuity on the show pictures of you in wardrobe. And you should know, so they match things and whatnot. And every time she'd take a photo, Tom was a super athlete. He was a 3 major he went to Queen's College University up in Quebec. Was it in Montreal, I think? But he was real, a bio major. I called him an old soul because I was 20 or 30 years older than him. He knew, like, from my childhood, football players. Like, I'd say, what? He knew the number. He knew songs. He and Michael Ian Black, the 3 of us would sing together, and the one who played Shirley. And he would come running, and the first year shot in the bowling alley, and he'd literally hop over benches and everything and jump right in the shot. And she'd go, now come on, Tom, you got to stop it. And she was so sweet. And then and we would just ruin the photos, and they all wound up in the wardrobe and makeup and hair departments. But he's a wonderful talent. He didn't want to do flash. He reminded me of someone who was going to be like Jimmy Stewart. But after I left, my last show, I meant to tell you today, I got to bowl a 300 game.
Hey now.
I played Kenny, a kind of strange worker in it. Yeah, but I didn't really do it.
They
faked it. No.
We never really do anything.
I'm lucky I can do 100.
Hey, I would own it. I'd like, I totally did that.
I did that.
But it was fun. We did, they had all this stuff, and eventually they built a studio, and I was on it 2 years, and then the first episode, I think. But Julie Bowen, I used to say, you're my idol. And Julie went on to do the show
Modern Family.
Modern Family, who's wonderful, and she was on a Curb Your
I
Enthusiasm.
wound up doing one of those too.
And we had a lot of laughs on the show. I hung out with Rachel Cronin, who played Shirley, and a lot of the crew wanted more stuff in the bowling alley because we were so quirky and weird.
Well, there was so much cool stuff in that bowling alley. Like, they really brought Stucky Bowl to life.
Yeah, and they were trying to change. I can't remember the area, Bobby, because we would get picked up on 96th Street. I was living in the Bronx. My wife, I think, was a resident. It was. Oh, God, I'm trying to remember. Maybe not, well, whatever, working a job. I'm trying to remember which point of our life it was in. And then 9/11 hit when we were doing it. And that's right, I was living in Chicago. My wife was working at a hospital
in New Orleans,
Chicago.
aren't we?
Yeah, I know, I'm like... Remember, there was a movie before you were all born called If It's Tuesday, We Must Be in Belgium, about a tour of people, right?
Suzanne Plachette. Yeah.
And anyway, there was a lot of fun on that. And I got residuals about 15 years ago from showings in South America, but people can't seem to get it, get on copy. And someone sent me a YouTube thing the other day, a guy I had met years ago, and there's a picture of me and Tom Cavanaugh. I'll try to find it and show you.
It was on Up TV for a little while, but you can't get it on DVD. You can't get it on Blu-ray. I'm wondering because of the music, so much music was used in that show.
They had to change the song
because the theme song was Foo Fighters.
I'm in the Sky Tonight. They had to change that.
That's Foo Fighters. They had to
change
next
that
year.
later.
And I'm wondering maybe that's what's holding it up because it was such a brilliant show. It was very down to earth. There wasn't a lot of flash to it, and that's why I personally love that show.
And I had no idea what I was doing. I'd either play a catatonic guy, and they'd say, oh, no, now let's play it lively. And after, like, the middle of the second scene, said, why don't you do it just like one of the stagehands on Letterman? Because Letterman was the executive producer, and these guys had written.
Worldwide Pants.
And I said, why didn't you tell me that 2 years ago? I'm trying to do, like, a middle American. I'm trying to do this guy, like, and, like, And they had me sing about 8 times on the show, and then different things we had to do, like a karaoke, funny things, And, God, I had to do a Galaga. I had to smash a watermelon. They had me do all odd things on it.
Oh yeah, I mean you run into that on sitcoms a lot because they're not exactly sure where it's going. All of a sudden I find out.
Yeah.
Gary Goldberg, my dear friend who passed away, who did Family Ties in Brooklyn Bridge, and we know each other from the old days in Brooklyn. And when we did Murray, the Last Resort, which unfortunately Walter Olkowitz was in, and Stephanie, Larry Breeding, a lot of good people. So I was Murray the maitre d'. It was in the Catskills, or the Jewish Alps as they known. So we start doing it. I'm doing this. I'm talking like this. Schmatzavel, I get you. He goes, what are you doing, Costanzo? I go, Murray the maitre d', the Jewish Alps. Play you. Forget about Murray the maitre d'.
I know. It's crazy, you know. And
so
why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, right.
Well, you also got to do another, I think it's iconic, didn't last long. I own the Blu-ray. You did Police Squad.
I did Police Squad, and that was with my wonderful actor. Oh my God,
Leslie Nielsen?
No, not Leslie was the lead, but
that was a great show.
Oh, John, what was John's last name? John. Oh God, it was a great actor. He's still around, John. He's also in Harlem Nights and all. John. I forget John's name, but the two of us. It was a real.
John Amos.
No, not John Amos.
No.
No, John's white. John Amos black. No, John. I can't remember John's last. So the two of us are playing two gangsters, and we break into a shop, a locksmith shop, and Leslie Nielsen is running the shop, and all of a sudden he shows this, and we're denying everything. And goes, well, then how do you explain this? And he shows us this rock, and I go, millions of years ago, the Earth was a molten mass. I mean, those guys were.
The Zucker brothers.
That was a great show.
8 episodes. That's all there was.
Yeah.
And then they did the movies, of course, with the Naked Gun and everything else. You guys have done so much in your career.
Fun, yeah.
What right now to you is who's the one person besides each other? Who's the one person you really, really, really want to work with right now?
Wow, good question. You got any? I used to like the idea of working with like Angelica Houston for some reason.
Legend.
She sort of has disappeared. Who else? You got any thoughts?
People I know. I'm trying to think.
Pacino, of course. I always wanted to work with him.
I'm sorry, I'm stumped here because it sounds rude. Because I do think sometimes.
Is the list long and distinguished?
Well, just trying to think. We've been lucky to be with. Our, with
you work with, I work with Duval, which was fun, but
sure I did.
But that doesn't answer your question.
I don't know if you've seen the new Perry Mason one.
Yes, so good.
And he was on Americans. Reese, I think, there's someone I'd like to do with. I like the style of the show. I feel terrible that I'm blanking out because there are a lot of people.
There was some.
I worked with Viola Davis years ago.
Oh my God!
And we got along so great, and she was so wonderful.
Yeah, she's in Air right now, which is an amazing film.
Yeah, I know.
Ben Affleck.
Does that live up to it?
Sonny Vaccaro, right?
Well,
I know.
But that was one of the things Jordan said. Was one of the things that's not negotiable is I need Viola Davis to play my mom.
Viola Davis was special, but I'm trying to think. I sound rude here. I'm trying to think of someone that would be older that we didn't get a chance to be with. That
Lillian Gish. Oh no, she's not around anymore. Okay.
We're going with names that mean nothing to you.
Well,
let me see.
You're going into the well, and I'm here for it.
Right.
When you're having some kind of a block, whether it's portraying, writing, or whatever, is there a movie or a project that you go to that inspires you?
Oh, that actually inspired me. I go to it maybe in my mind mentally or just starting to think about it. I love a movie that, I don't know if you've seen everything, it seems.
I try to. I try to keep up.
Smile?
I don't do horror movies.
No, it wasn't a horror movie.
I don't want to pay somebody to try to make me pee on myself.
Smile was the Miss America pageant.
Oh, the old, okay.
Michael Ritchie directed.
There was a horror movie called Smile that came out last year.
Yeah. Well, here's what I feel about movies. I've always said this. If a movie relates, if it works for you, you might like it even if the script or the writing or the acting or anything is not, because it's compelling and it means something to you. And that's really what it's all about. Somebody could, kick one out of the universe, be totally brilliant, but It doesn't. It's like my son. I told my son about Citizen Kane and how he did the lighting and the changing and all the camera moves. He said, "Dad, I don't even get the movie. It doesn't mean anything." And
Hey, how's Liam Neeson for an answer? That's good, right?
He would
to
be
be a
fun.
bad guy with Liam.
That's a good one.
I feel like at this point in his career,
a guy
he's just
that
fun
knew
to be
him
around.
from Northern Ireland. This guy, I think his brother was a bookie or something. I said someday I'll work with him, but it's funny. There are certain movies that still move, and I'm careful, but saying it in English the best way I can, Cinema Paradiso.
Yes.
Oh, what a masterpiece!
Right, and that's an inspiring film, and
That got a re-release, I think, theatrically last year.
I don't know, and I'm
anniversary.
trying to think of
I think you're right. Yeah.
films that. I mean, I got to meet Gene Hackman, but was cut out of the movie. But that was a big thing for me.
You know what?
And,
I'm glad you said that because Morricone's music moves me a lot.
Morricone.
I'm
Yeah,
not a quote
Ennio.
method actor, but on the way to the theater when I was doing this play, The Alamo, recently, I thought of that music from either Cinema Paradiso or Once Upon a Time in America, and it reminded me of my dad and when I was younger, and it just put me in a place.
His score for The Hateful Eight is phenomenal.
He
as
finally
well.
got a long-deserved
Is there any
award.
special movies you all like out there? Do you have any questions or anything?
For me, the perfect film is The Godfather.
Godfather combined 1 and 2.
Unbelievable.
Have you watched? Have you done the epic?
Yeah.
I am waiting for the day AMC finally says, okay, we're going to release
Yeah.
it, because that is 7 hours of my life fully worth it.
Well, we know he's a Batman guy, right?
As am I. As am I.
I was just starting out. I went with my brother and my dad. My dad wound up doing a little bit of acting. As a matter of fact, my IMDb has me as
Yep.
Carmine's son.
It does. It does.
They
indeed.
got the wrong date. But, my dad did a couple of movies. He got billing over me. What can I say? But when we went to see that, I'll never forget the Lower East State. And there was that shot
In Manhattan or
and,
Brooklyn?
yeah, in Manhattan, 86th Street,
Oh,
Manhattan.
yeah.
Right. And I'll never forget, like this disembodied voice, and then this hand on a cat, and Brando, and You Own Me Now.
Oh.
That was like,
Have you watched The Offer?
I did. I loved it.
Was it not amazing?
It was
If it doesn't have a
amazing.
billion Emmy awards this year, I'm going to be very
Unbelievable.
angry.
And very, very. Did you see The Offer? You see any?
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it was good, grudgingly.
I
I
like it.
wanted to not
Yeah.
like it, I'll be honest.
No,
But it was great.
I'm still getting around it stored. I'm catching up. I like actually to watch a lot of Korean shows. It's crazy. I don't mean the crazy contest. There's a great one, Attorney, The Extraordinary Attorney Woo, about
Yeah,
the
on
only
Netflix.
autistic attorney in Korea. And it's just a brilliant one. And I also watch, I'm really...
Bread and Chocolate, great
I watch
Italian films.
Midnight.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Bread and Chocolate. And Midnight Diner. It's a really interesting thing on Netflix. And, of course, I like shows like, I'm trying to think.
How about Midnight Cowboy? Speaking of
There you
Midnight,
go.
Was that great?
That's a great film.
Oh,
I got
what a
to
great
work with
film.
Dustin.
We are getting close to the end
Okay,
of
we
our
gotta go.
time.
Okay.
But before we go,
Does anyone watch Ted Lasso?
oh, I'm caught up right now. I got
that's
caught up
great.
last night.
That's
I'm
great.
so sad this
Oh,
is the
God.
last
Don't say,
season.
don't say
I'm not
anything.
ruining anything.
I got a couple left, and
But before we go, I always
Shrinking
like to
and-
finish our time together with shameless self-promotion. So tell everybody where they can connect to you on social media, things of
I'm
that
just
nature.
starting to do that. I've held off for years, so I promise I will. I'm just in a couple of shows, like I'm doing East New York and playing a very strange. I'm playing a really bad ex-cop, and Sweetwater, which was about the first black basketball player signed in the NBA. I have a couple of scenes, but
that screened here last weekend in Dallas. Yes,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I better get on Instagram at least.
Mr. Costanzo.
I'm not on it. I think I'm on Facebook, but I never really open it. And every time I do, I get Facebook, I get a million. So
People think
I'm
I'm
not
Mike
yet.
Starr, the musician that unfortunately died of an overdose, and he was on Celebrity Rehab. Our friend,
Some
God
people
rest
think
Tom
I'm
Sizemore.
Jason Alexander. I say I'm the real Costanzo. He's Costanza. He's Sephardic Jewish. I'm Italian Catholic.
But you guys can go see them at their table, get autographs, get pictures,
Yeah.
do the whole thing.
Thank
Guys,
you.
give so much of Mike
Thanks for your
Starr and Robert
patience, Ryan.
Costanzo.
Putting up with two old guys here telling you stories.
I enjoyed
Thank
this
you
so
for-
much.
thank you
5
for sitting
o'clock
there.
You
cosplay
were
contest.
fabulous.
Thank you. I'd like to get a picture with you guys if I could.
Okay.
Sure.